Hello everybody, welcome to a new episode of Leadership in Blue Jeans. And today with me I have Horia Todoran, who is the General Manager of Bosch Rexroth Sales, and Adrian Furnica, who is the Country Manager of Synthetic Distribution. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you, Frank.
As usual, we let, quickly introduce themselves to the audience. So, Horia, why don't you give it a start? The GM of Bosch Rexroth Sales, what is he doing?
Sales. Perfect. The GM of Bosch Rexroth Sales, he's with his team actually. For sure, we are representing Bosch Rexroth in Romania and the neighboring countries. And the idea is to provide the services we have at group level to our customers on one side, so existing customers. Second, to increase, let's say, their efficiencies through automation or energy efficiency when we are discussing about hydraulics. And also be a partner for Industry 4.0, Factory 4.0. So at the end of the day, we are a technology supplier, so we discuss technology, and there are always a lot of challenges in the market, so we are happy to be here.
I can imagine. Thank you very much for the introduction. Adrian, how about you?
Yes, I'm one of the few dinosaurs from the IT distribution market in Romania, which started to be alive somewhere in the 90s, 91, 92. Then I'm still resisting in the market. After I was entrepreneur and I had my own company. Since a few years ago, because of the crisis in 2010, I bankrupt my company and I'm starting to be employee. And now I'm acting in Synthetic Distribution, which is a pan-European distribution company from Poland, and I'm managing the offices in Bucharest.
Wonderful. Long and interesting career, it seems.
Yes, with good and bad situations, because it's not a pleasure to drive through a bankruptcy anywhere elsewhere in the world, but in Romania it's crazy.
I understand, and actually maybe we can use that particular experience of yours also somewhere down the line with the discussion that we want to have today. Let me give a little bit of context to everybody who would be watching this. So we have these many people of all ages and of all kinds of degrees of experiences here in Romania on the market, and many of them are saying they do struggle with finding interesting, compelling workplaces as they fail going through the application process to begin with. And on the other hand side, you have the CEOs and country leaders of companies that are saying, we need talent, where are they? So what's happening here?
I would say, and let's bring some perspective. Bosch itself is a big group, and quite a big group also in Romania with a lot of employees and plants. We as Bosch Rexroth Sales, we are a relative small company. I call it agile. We are playing in a league with other companies, local companies, which act quite quickly in the market. Mm-hmm. And being a supplier of technology, you need quite high-skilled colleagues. And there are two ways now. We are doing both quite well. On one side, taking students, either out of university or master classes. You bring them in and then you involve them in projects. So in our case, when they are coming, they get, let's say in the second week, okay, we're doing the induction and so on, but they get to work on projects. So it's getting real. It's not only theory. Mm-hmm. And here you start with them and you develop your own, let's say, colleagues, your own team in the future. But on the other side, to be able to maintain the business, to grow the business and to provide the service to the customer in the end, you need also colleagues who are already skilled. Now, what we have observed, and I can talk from my point of view, I'm sure also others can relate to this, is the fact that sometimes we have very high expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So, as one of my colleagues would say, we want them to be able to do everything when they come. So I think it's also from our side, let's say, some work to do when you define what you have the role with the different characteristics, but then you should define what is the most important. Because if you stick to all of them as being priority one, then you might have a problem.
Yes.
And this is for our side. On the other side, what I have seen and is that, and I myself, I'm also an employee. So at the end of the day, it's not my company. And we discussed a little bit earlier about how employable we are. I think also we as employees or associates, as we call ourselves in Bosch, I think we have to be accountable to know what we want and also to be able to convey exactly what we want in order to have this matching. So me as an employer, I should be very open, look, this is what I want, and be able to present behind where I want to go and how do you fit in. But on the other side, we see that, at least out of our experience, the candidates don't really also know what they want. And you would like somebody engaged, you would like somebody accountable when you know that he's coming to your team, he put his hands on, let's say, the job to be done towards the customer, and he's driving it. And sometimes we don't see this.
Right.
And then maybe you say, okay, then we don't stop the process, but let's say, let's postpone, let's see, let's wait, let's find another way. So I would say it's a little bit both sides.
Okay. Adrian, when you hear this, what goes through your mind? What other experience did you have, or do you think it's more the mismatch of the expectations that creates the problem?
So, hiring in a company in Romania, because I'm talking only on this market, it's something very strange, because first of all there are a few steps, and I think that there is a mistake in this process, because first step, it's when you are sending a CV to a company, first of all it's selected by a machine. It's a software which is selecting people's, and I think first of all it's the age that cut you off. From my point of view, I'm sending every day at least 10 offers to a lot of companies just for testing the market. I don't want to change my job, but I just want to make a measure of me. So I'm sending CVs and I'm trying to see if that somebody contact me. Nobody. Because of my age, first of all, I think, because I can't see any other reason, first of all. Second, I think that the person who chooses an employee has to be the one who work with it, not an HR girl from a HR department. Because there are a lot of patterns I think that in right now in Romania they are not hiring people, we are hiring patterns. And if this guy, this man is not fitting in the very strict templates, you cannot pass over to talk with somebody who is interested in what you know, what is your experience, how you will see the future, how you will be part of a team, and something like that. And that's the reason in the last 3 years, nobody is asking me nothing, who I am, what I'm doing, or I'm receiving answers from that kind of software that your CV is looking great, but we choose to get over with another candidate.
Right. That sounds frustrating. Yeah, sure. So age definitely is not a factor that would make people less effective. Apparently, I mean, there was a documentary recently made here, Restart 45, which actually looks at this problem from an age discrimination standpoint. But I wonder if there's also something about what Horia was talking about. If we, from a leadership standpoint, or also all hiring managers, are actually feeding the recruitment machine with way too high criteria that become so specific, specifically on the skills section, that actually nobody really fits. I wonder if that's something that we should be actually looking at a little bit more, about how do we actually do the hiring? Do we hire primarily for skills, or do we primarily hire for attitude, which is, I think, what you were referring to earlier?
Exactly. So in our case, there is a system where we get the CVs. So there is a posting, you get the CVs. Fortunately, and I heard also in your previous recordings, we don't have a system which filters automatically, fortunately. So we have to go every CV. So there is always a group of a hiring team, let's put it like this, and we go over each one, and it's our evaluation which then says, yes, I want to have a discussion, or I want to have a very quick discussion if I like the profile, or no, I think it doesn't fit. Indeed, there are a lot, and we get from India, we get from Turkey a lot of CVs, and when you go through them, and you have the posting, and you ask for some experience in some lines, and then you see that a lot of CVs are just sent without even matching. I'm not saying 10%, because to match 100% it's ideally, but they are by far. And then sometimes you just go tuck, 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 no, yes, it's interesting, then you look into it. So I'm happy that we are still doing it manually or personally, so not like this. For sure we have also our biases, because we are people and like this, but what happened very nice in the last period was that, and I will come on another topic a little bit later, is that we see the attitude. And then you stay in front of let's say 2 candidates, because they're people. We discuss now about a person, and with one you have the attitude and you like him, or the drive, and you say, okay, with him I know that I can just go, but the other one has the skills. And the question is, how do you probe this attitude? Maybe also the other one is a little bit introvert and cannot show it. But once he's on the job, he's just going. And sometimes I'm asking myself, me as a let's say hiring person, as a manager, how can I train myself to be a better interviewer, to make you once I select to have an interview or a discussion, let's put it like this. But how because we train for technical skills a lot. We train for management a lot, maybe how to find purpose and so on, but to hire itself, not really.
Yeah, seems like an afterthought, right?
Not really. I mean, okay, you read the books and different websites, what questions to ask, and then you start asking them, and you see which the answers are, and you start comparing them, but I think we should do also a lot of work into how to construct the discussion, maybe not an interview, but a discussion. Because at the end, it's not one-side interview, because the person, the candidate should interview us, and they are quite reluctant to ask questions, tough questions.
More senior people too? Because usually you get that mostly from more young
senior,
people.
what does senior mean? We should define this one.
With plenty of prior work experience.
Okay. If I would be with my colleagues, I would ask, please define plenty.
Yeah.
Some of them ask, it depends. If they are coming really out of the field, then they can relate to us and they ask the questions.
Right,
and then it's nice. But most of them stay to this general level. Yes, we try to convince, say, okay, we are here, now you can ask the questions now, or you can call us afterwards. But it's unfortunately it's quite a lot one-sided, and not we are not so challenged in these discussions.
One thing I want to say, if you have a job and if you want a person who is matching 100% on the job, the only way is to take one from your competitor.
Correct.
Because they know what they have to do. In our field, I have a word, it's how the water it's filling in the nature from water to sky, and then it's coming back on the earth. So it's the same in the IT distribution field. So sometime you are asking, where is UNESCO? Oh, UNESCO is now not here, it's here, and it was there, and it will be for sure in that company. So there are, let's say, 10 companies, major companies, and from time to time you are asking where the X person, where is in that moment, here, 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 or here. So if you want to bring somebody from the outside the system, because in every field of activity, the system, it's a closed system. IT business, it's a closed system. If you want to bring somebody from the outside, the first impression is when you look at the people, you have to see the attitude. And from my experience, I've employee in the past hundreds of people. It's not very important what they know, how they know. It's important is how they want to learn and how much they want to learn. Because
so it's the attitude.
Yes, it's the attitude. And if you take a risk for, let's say, 3 to 6 months, you can see a person starting, bring it from the outside, and you will see in 6 months if it's the fit person for you or not. And from my feelings, I think that I find the best people in 90% of the cases. Because it's very important to talk directly with the person.
That's true.
To see his eyes, to see how they think, how they see involvement in the company, and what they want to become in the next years, but not asking where you see yourself in 5 years, because this is a stupid question.
Yes.
Because we don't know what we are doing in the weekend.
Yeah, most people disagree by now that it's a stupid question.
Yes,
Yeah.
but
or at least another useful question.
okay, and ask, what do you want to do with your life? That's very important, because I know a lot of the people came in our company, in my company, and now they are very far away. And I'm very happy when after 1, 2, or 3 years they are coming and say, okay, boss, I have to go because I find my way in that direction or there or there. And this is because companies are not in Ceausescu's time, in the communist, there were people very proud to see I went in this factory 45 years ago and as a worker, and now I'm an engineer or something else.
For sure.
Yes, and I now go to pension from the same company. No.
So it's for attitude. Let me ask you something. I'll let you ask a question. So, how many people, let's say on average, if you're personally hiring for a position, how many people do you actually see before you make a decision? The 2, 3, 4 people that you interview and then you make a decision? How does it usually go on average?
Ideally, we would like more, but unfortunately, we do not see too many. I have to find now the right word so that it's, but not relevant candidates, but candidates which
suitable. Fitting.
Suitable.
Yeah.
We don't find we don't find many. Therefore, we are quite limited. We don't feel very comfortable, but I would say open. I mean, not open discussion. Discussions maybe for a position up to 10. And then we have a second discussion where we go a little bit into details, and then it's probably 2, 3.
I'm asking because it actually reminded me of something. Maybe this is a possible, well, I'm not sure if it's a solution to a problem. It may make it better. So personally, I was once hiring for a customer service opening. And it was actually relatively difficult to find exactly the people that we wanted, multilingual with IT experience and so on and so forth. So it was difficult, and our recruiters were mostly recruiting in, as you say, the competition, that actually had the same kind of customer service. It was difficult. And then at some point I was asking, please, whenever we do have a interview day, I want you to bring at least one unlikely candidate, one person that doesn't quite fit. And this actually worked so beautifully, and once I think is one of the best hires I ever made, was a young man who has never worked in the industry before, was never behind a telephone or screen, but he grew up somewhere in Spain, working in the restaurant of his father. He spoke 7 languages, and that was just one of the requirements. Speak more than 1 language. And so I brought the guy in. He was crushing it. He was absolutely crushing it.
The rest,
the attitude was absolutely amazing. And the rest was a bright guy. We just taught him in a half year, he knew everything.
If you are looking on the announcement of hiring, you can find very hilarious sentences. They want to hire a driver with Excel, Adobe, PowerPoint. The PowerPoint, it's the icon of hiring. If everybody is now making a PowerPoint presentation, it's 10% is higher. Truly, in my experience of 32 years, I've never made a PowerPoint presentation because I don't know how to do it. Because it's not very important. But if you read the announcement, it's excellent, fluent in English, even he's a driver, or let's say, I don't know, in English it's strungar, okay, working on a machine.
Machining part.
Yes, excellent, fluent in English, driver license ABCD, PowerPoint presentation, Excel, it's a must. Very sociable, and so.
Strange mixes of requirements.
Yes,
I agree with you there.
If you are the perfect guy, why don't you ask God? God, send me an angel who's fitting all of these requirements. So,
yeah, it seems like a good advice. He probably doesn't answer much to these kind of requests. Horia, but you had a comment where I just
I wanted to say to share an experience. Fortunate and unfortunate. we wanted to hire a sales guy. And there was one gentleman. He was coming somehow out of the industry, but not our technologies. And from our point of view, to learn our technologies is quite hard. So it's engineering as much as you can go. And we discussed with him and so on. And he explained what he did in every position. And then we said, yeah, let's think about it. But in hindsight, I was with my colleague, with the sales manager, and we said, look, but in his first position, he created some ways of generating easy business for him. And this pattern which we saw in every position which he had, even though he was jumping from, let's say, one industry to the other, and we said, but we like this guy, because it means that if he would come with us, okay, he doesn't know the technology, he will learn it, but for sure he will think ways to simplify his work, to get to the opportunities much faster. We lost him. He went to, not the competition, but a different industry. What I liked was, at least from our point of view, how you call it, mind-blowing experience, opening the minds and looking, as you mentioned, outside. Just try to and now we are trying to asking questions. How are you doing it? What have you done? Just to get the attitude. And this lifelong learning, I call it, this drive to learn, to improve, to whatever. This is something which we are looking now for.
So you have, just quick, so you have actually instructed your recruitment team to look a little bit outside of the box.
Not really, because again, as we are quite technical, and there is one team for recruiting, and they are recruiting for the plant, they are recruiting for us. Yes, they learn a little bit which is our specific, but we make sure that we are always in the interviews. So from the first step, we are in with our evaluation. So actually nothing happens without one of us in this
Not
in
even
this
the
process.
pre-selection?
Not even the pre-selection.
Okay, well that makes it sure.
Regarding sales,
Regarding sales.
The one who has to be your salesperson, first of all, he has to know how to sell, to be an intelligent guy or an intelligent person. And I've hired a lot of people in my shops in the past who are not knowing nothing about IT, but they know how to sell. And in few months, if you know how to sell something, it doesn't matter if you are selling cars, ships, or IT, because an intelligent person know the exactly point characteristic for each domain.
That's a particular talent.
Yes.
I would say it's more than intelligence, but it's definitely a talent.
Yes.
You have to be wired to connect with people quickly, build quick rapport, and so on. Yeah.
Yes.
Be okay with a lot of no's. Be open to every possibility.
It depends where they are selling.
True, that's true.
They are selling to the end user, the man on the street, it's something, and selling to the company, it's something else.
Yes.
But sometimes you can find persons who can mix everything. Because I'm telling from my point of view, I'm an electrical engineer. But if I will go to Bosch tomorrow, I think that in 1 month I will be perfect in selling their technology.
Right.
And what we also understood, but it's sometimes hard to get over the bias, or let's say the mindset is, if they come out of different industries, they bring you a different perspective.
Oh, yeah.
If you take out of your industry from the competition, as we discussed before, actually he's coming quite niched in that one. But if it's from outside, he can make different connections. And then the question is technical skills versus outside. Where is the sweet spot? How fast I need a person, how fast I need to scale up the business in that area.
You're touching on a subject that generally goes into the area of diversity.
Correct.
And how diversity across several different parameters can actually make a team more effective, more innovative, and so on and so forth. And I'm sure that's the same with when you think about, okay, so am I going to hire somebody that may bring experience from another industry, so they can come in and perhaps challenge some of the things that we do because we always do it that way.
Correct.
Right? And nobody was thought about maybe there's even a better way. And the other person that's coming in may come with that idea because they've seen it work somewhere else, and so we can evaluate it and perhaps improve.
Correct. I'm trying to encourage new colleagues because you go into a new environment and you try to adapt somehow. And I say just tell us what you think first. Okay, make it professional and so on, but just come and say, because we never know. I mean, okay, we might have our procedures, but we are not good in everything. And I'm trying to keep them with let's say, as they come in, and they should adapt only in the things where we discuss procedures and this kind of stuff, which, okay, it's internally and you have to have them. But mindset-wise, they should stay as they come.
We're close to the end of our time, but I still wanted to ask a subject that you mentioned earlier, actually, and let's both maybe comment on that. And that was with regards to talent finding employees and employees finding talents. There also does seem to be a gap, at least also according to what you say, but I agree with you, on part of the applicants who also don't really know how to sell themselves. So we seem to have that also. So people that are applying, over and over and a lot, and they're not getting a positive response that they may attribute to saying, okay, maybe there's a gender bias or maybe some kind of bias, but in reality they are not very, very good at, or not good enough at, somehow speaking the language of the hiring company, that matching, that selling, that making clear that I have the things that you want. So I'm wondering, how is there anything here, let's say maybe even in Romania, where people can learn about how do I become actually more effective in applying? Are we learning these kinds of things?
I think not really. At the end of the day, it's a sale. Everybody is selling himself. And if you want to sell yourself and be effective, you should take the time to understand what the other party is looking for. And I think, at least of today, there is too less of research when it comes to, okay, there is a company hiring, let's check the company, let's see how they do, which directions they go, I don't know, different press statements and so on, or whatever is available. And you also have to have your part. But on the other side, I was thinking now is if maybe some understand to do it, maybe some not. But for sure, also from our side, I think we can do a little bit more where I call it in the discussion, make it maybe a little bit more comfortable so that the person opens itself. I think we are a little bit too strict, not general speaking. And maybe the other party is, okay, you're the almighty company who is hiring, I'm not giving name now, and we are a little bit scared of, boy, it's big now. And
as a candidate.
As a candidate, and maybe we should also come and bring down a little bit this pressure, let's say, just be yourself, because Adrian mentioned 3 to 6 months testing period or something like this. Honestly, I don't know how to do it these days. If you say it's a 6 months test period, okay, nobody's coming. I say, okay. Then I'm asking myself, if you know what you're bringing to the job, then you should not be afraid of those 6 months.
Yes, of course.
Although on the other side, it might be effective in a company, while I go in another company, it might not be as effective.
Yes, that might happen.
Different values, different way of doing things. So I think it's from both sides, and we should also be more flexible, for sure. But from both sides, it's somehow needed.
I think that
You get the last word.
I didn't want that, but it's not very important. Okay, let's say each industry has their keywords. So if you want to go to hire in a company selling cosmetics, you have first of all to teach a little bit of the keywords of that industry. If you want to go to IT or engineering or something like that, I think that for the engineering it's a little bit much easier because it's engineering, it's mathematics, it's physics, and some sales skills. But you have to know the keywords for each company where you want to go.
Sure.
First of all. Second, you have to be more focused on the skills generally wanted by any other companies. So when you say I'm a serious guy, you have to be serious. So you have to choose the right word for the job.
All right. So with this, I thank you and you for coming and for a short, but I think very interesting discussion. We probably could have gone on for some time. Thank you so much. Super insights from both of you. Interesting story on your part also. So with that,
I will write a book.
Yeah.
the history of IT in Romania.
I'm sure it's going to be a bestseller.
Yeah, because it's a lot of humor inside.
So with that, we say thank you to everybody who was watching, and take care, everybody. Until next time.
Bye.
Thank you also, Frank. Bye.